Hey there, this is Blaine Scott, your stress management guide, here to offer a few tips for those of us who are going through grief losses. And by grief losses, I mean not specifically death. It can include death. However, it's also losses that all of us have experienced in 2020, like the loss of gathering together with friends and family when and how and where we want. The loss of certainty of plans that we're making in the future. We don't know if they're going to come to fruition or not. The loss of health. It may not be death. However, if you've contracted the Rona or you know others, well, then you know that the loss of health is very scary. And so there are a multiplicity of losses that we all are experiencing in this season. Some of them include death and death losses of people we know. Some of them are out there, and we get compassion fatigue from hearing of all the losses of so many people we know or don't know, or what our country is going through at this time, and things like that. Certainly you've heard about stages of grief, and these are some of the stages of grief that we typically say that people need to go through. And they're fluid. People can go through some and go backwards or forwards. However, for most of us, that same process of grief looks more like this. We're just all over the place. We don't know what to think or feel or act in the moment. We don't even know how to verbalize it to somebody else. What we do know pretty much across the board is that grief isolates, calling us to contract within ourselves. We just kind of pull in to protect ourselves. We're hurting. We don't know what to say, or we don't want to say the wrong thing. And what it ends up doing is distracting us from our thinking ability. At work, we might make mistakes, and then we get in trouble, and then that continues down the rabbit hole of grief. When we're hurting, though, there are particular things that we can do and particular things that we cannot do or ought not do for our best well-being and for the well-being of others. And that's one of the worksheets that I've included along with this video, is to provide some do's and don'ts of your own grief support and how to support yourself. And it can be very helpful in supporting coworkers or friends who also may be grieving the loss of certainty or other kind of losses, loss of income, loss of work security. Any of those kinds can offer the instability, which then causes us to pull into ourselves rather than reaching out or helping others. So here are 3 quick ways that you can be very supportive and you can know that you are helping someone else who is hurting, be it a coworker, friend, resident, or someone like that. The first one is to ask. So many of us don't say anything and we just kind of ghost them unintentionally because we're so uncomfortable with their pain that we don't connect with them, and they're already isolated. So ask an open-ended, non-judgmental question, such as, it seems like you're kind of down. Are you doing okay? Or, hey, I'm a good listener. Would you like to share anything that you happen to be going through? So asking an open-ended, non-judgmental question is a great way to get them started. And then listen, actively listen. You know, when I'm listening to you, you're nodding, you're shaking your head no, you're like, okay. So you're not really interrupting, but you are letting them know you're actively listening. And the third one is to validate what they're saying. Give them a validating feedback. Validating feedback sounds like, wow, that sounds really tough, or golly, I can tell you're in a lot of pain with this. And so you're just giving them feedback as to, I get it, I understand what you're going through, even though it's not my story, it's theirs. You're still a very willing person to listen. So ask, listen, and validate. And then you are being really helpful for them. The other worksheet that I'm providing along with this video are the tasks of mourning. Mourning is that period of time that's a really acute loss, when we're really wounded. It's the fresh cut on us before we get it cared for. And so people who are in mourning have certain tasks to help them get traction on moving forward through their grief. Because so many of us feel like, oh my God, is it going to be like this forever? When is this going to stop? And we're desperate to make it stop. The best way, the healthiest way for your well-being to make it stop is to continue moving forward. Meaning, do the tasks of mourning and remember the person for who they were. That's the primary shift that helps us to move forward, is ultimately when we have memories of a person or of a scenario that we've experienced losses from, when we can recall how it felt in the good times, then we're choosing to take our power back into ourselves and remember rather than only focusing on the loss and what we don't have anymore. That's mourning, that's grief, that's hurting. When we choose to take in the memory and say, you know what, I have lost a lot and it is real, and a way that I'm reorganizing my mind, body, and spirit is to say, I'm going to focus on what I still have from them. What did they do that made you smile? What did they do that made your heart just feel big and your chest expand? And focus on those things. It's not only soothing and comforting for you in the moment, it literally helps us progress through the intensity or the acute pain of the mourning period. Again, I'm Blaine Scott, your stress management guide. I'm here to help you and support you along this path of uncertainty and all the losses that all of us are experiencing. Simply call or text at 970-216-4433. Or go to our website at libertylifecoaching.org, and you can get in touch with us there and see more experiences of talk-based and equine life coaching that can help you move through your challenges, and even beyond yourself, it can help those that you care for, that you love, and that you live with. Between now and then, keep shifting from personal obstacles to personal opportunities, and we'll get through this together.